So welcome everyone, welcome. I'm switching the view to speaker view right now. So, okay, and welcome everyone to our Heart Power Global Nation and My Speaker Business community call, which we're running every month. And if you're not a member of our Heart Power Global Nation yet, please, as I said, I shared the link already in the chat. Join us, just answer 3 questions, accept the rules, and we invite you in so you stay up to date on all our amazing events and everything else. And you can exchange and connect with other speakers and entrepreneurs and change makers. So, I know a lot of you, we are connected on social media. We've met at some events and not everyone knows me very well yet. So who am I? My name is Monique and I'm the founder of Heart Powered Business. And our mantra is speak up, scale up, impact the world. And we've helped hundreds of people from around, from more than 50 countries to really go professional with their speaking and to double, triple, and even quadruple their income, even in the pandemic times, with our Voice to Millions framework. I've myself been a paid speaker for more than 20 years. I've been on stages in more than 25 countries in 5 continents. But this session is not about me at all. It's all about you and about our precious guest. That will inspire all of us to really get practical hints and tips, so that we can apply them right away. And also you will be able to ask your personal questions on how to make your speaking and your business flourish further. And the questions, we keep them towards the end of the session. But anytime a question comes up, please put them into the chat so we make sure we get them answered before our amazing hour together is over. Also, it's your great opportunity right here, right now, to exchange with other professional speakers and entrepreneurs and change makers. You get help and support from others on your high priority projects. And I know for some of you, it's, depending on where you are from around the world, for some of you, it's evening and dinner time. For some, it's lunchtime. For some of you, it might be breakfast time for our American friends. So just simply take a break and have fun with us and get inspired. Also, as I said, these sessions are very interactive, so ask your questions anytime in the chat. Don't hold back to make sure you get them answered. Also, mute yourself when you're not speaking, so we have a sparkling recording. We'll record this. You'll find this recording in the Hall of Fame afterwards. And know that when you are speaking up and you have your video on, and I know you all love to be on stage, so just put your video on, but you will be in the recording. We want you to be aware of that, okay? So as you know, every month we have an amazing guest with us. This month, our topic is how do you develop your own personal model of influence? And I know that all of you want to produce amazing work and value. You want to serve a bigger purpose. You want to make a difference. You want to just live with grace and dignity, with ease and joy. And you want others to listen to what you have to say, and to also come on board and support your mission with their heart and mind and soul. And to make all of that happen, you need to build yourself your own circle and model of influence. And that is what our guest today is all about. She didn't just build her own model of influence, she really managed to become the president of the Professional Speakers Association in India in actually less than 2 years, which I think is amazing. Well, who is she? I think quite a few know already because we introduced her already in the announcement. Her name is Neerja Singh. Who is she? Let me introduce you to her. She actually has written 3 generational books. She created a YouTube channel on Gen Next. She's writing a professional column on keeping pace with the young. And, she's also has a university gold medal in philosophy. She has designed a life design. She defines and designs programs for teenagers and a signature series on millennials. She's a proud Air Force veteran's wife, and she's really invested in turning generational differences into dividends at work and at home. She calls herself the Seenager, the senior teenager, and she considers herself a millennial in spirit, with the benefit of hindsight. I think that is such a powerful combination. She has been a professional speaker and harnessing generational diversity and employee retention. And she has more than 37 years of work and life experience under her belt as an advertising executive. She's a 2 times winner of Notions Litogram fiction contest, a featured journalist with Indian Express and Maharashtra Herald. And she's so much more. And I, again, I hand it over to her now to say more about who she is and what she's bringing to us today. But let me also give away that when she's not busy speaking or writing, she loves playing golf and she loves riding her road bike. She's a swimmer and she swims 1 kilometer at a time, which I find amazing. So without any further ado, Neerja, it's amazing to have you with us. Welcome, and welcome to all of you that are with us today. Great to have you.
Thank you, Monique. Absolutely a pleasure, honor, and privilege. I'm really, really excited. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen, Monique, right away.
Please do. Yes, go ahead.
We are talking about developing personal ethical influence model. Now, the catchword here is ethical. That is important. Influence comes in all kinds of shapes. Ethical, and let me tell you that never has it been so crucial and so difficult to exercise, assert your influence ever before in mankind's history. And there are reasons. We are touchy today. We are temperamental. We are moody, and we're also very terrified. There's this fear of the climate going wrong. There is fear of world leaders. There is a trust deficit. And in this environment, we are trying to get things done. Now, how do we get things done? How do we maintain, sustain our families and create an impact without influence? That is what we are going to be talking about. Remember, ethical, and it's difficult. Why is it difficult? The world has changed so much. I've taken this symbolic reference of the Maslow's motivational model. And the reason is, if a fundamental model structure, thought, idea, template that has served us for so many years, that we based our psychology, philosophy, our teaching methodology, our motivational work, our leadership, this is what we based it on. And this is on its head today. It's being questioned, it's being reimagined, and it's being redefined. Now just look at the last two base columns there. Somebody's written, and that somebody is Martin Lindstrom. He's an author. He says battery needs and Wi-Fi needs. Now, why are the battery needs and Wi-Fi needs so important? Perhaps because we have a very deep-seated need for connection. Now, is that telling you something? Influence is all about connection. And no longer, perhaps, is it true that we first have to meet our physiological needs, and only then, one after another, can we ascend up to more superior needs like transcendence or self-actualization. All of this is happening parallelly today. So that is the basis for the kind of challenges we face today. A lot is topsy-turvy. Now, you should ask me the question, everyone. Why influence? Of course, influence for survival and thrival. We say that all the time. And some are conscious of it, but some are not. But believe you me, every one of you on this call, Chimo, Brigadier Basin, Mona, Patricia, Innocente, you're all capable of influencing. You already are influencing. You have this currency called influence in a reasonable measure with all of you. Bless you. Now, my next question would be, look, influence is essential. We just said that for thrival and survival, but believe you me, it is extremely, extremely elusive. Would you take a moment to try and think why possibly could it be elusive? Look around us. There is marketing-induced cynicism. We're talking all the time of positioning ourselves. What is a unique selling point? Radhika, what is your unique selling proposition, for instance? There is this marketing induced cynicism. You feel when somebody is coming at you, they're coming at you with a certain agenda in mind. There is also a peak fatigue. People are peaking too early in life these days. They've done it, been there, read it, seen it, experienced it. And there is also an empowerment epidemic, I believe. Everybody is so empowered. Everybody knows so much that you really feel you don't have much to learn from anyone else. You can quickly Google. There's so much information available. There's talk of realizing your power, realizing your potential. You really feel it's a paradox. You feel invincible on one hand, and you also feel very fragile on the other hand. So these are the paradoxes, the contradictions of our times. And in these circumstances, we are talking about asserting influence. Influence would mean if I ask Chimu Kuti, Chimu, will you contribute to this project that I am launching? And Chimu would quickly say, with pleasure. If I asked Innocente, I hope I'm doing okay calling you Innocente. That's your name? Yes, thank you very much. All right, Innocente. If I were to ask you, would you come with me bungee jumping? Let's go to Macau and jump from 660 meters, whatever the height is. You would say no. Chandra says no. So that's not the kind of influence we are talking about, but you understand what we are referring to here. Now, what's happening is, see, it gets weirder. It doesn't stop here. We tell each other, stand out, but not be found. What kind of a statement is that? Push individuality, but cry for community then. First, it's about being an individual, and then it's about being this cry, we need to form communities, we need to collaborate. Then we are going hoarse on leadership. I have my friend here who talks about leadership, Chandra. Chandra is a leadership expert, and not a word about followership. Well, what does it take to be a good follower? What are the attributes? What are the tips, the tricks, the strategies? Who is the leader going to lead if there are no followers? No talk of followership. That's food for thought. Then we talk about hedonism, consume, have our senses satisfied, and now we have gone back to stoicism. So there is this constant conflict, but I think never have these conflicting parameters, positions been as close as they are now. And my friends, we want freedom and entitlements. I am entitled to happiness. I am entitled to marriage. I am entitled to a job. I am entitled to security. I am entitled, and above all, happiness. Well, I believe, maybe it's my generation, Anja, somebody here from my generation, I believe that these have to be earned. These are not entitlements. Life does not guarantee you happiness. So this is the environment that we are working against. And now why Monique called me. Here is the reason. Why me? Who am I? Why am I talking to you about exercising, asserting, attaining influence? Well, Monique called me because this is what happened. And this is not the first time it's happened. What I do is, this is my specialty. It's my expertise. It's an inherent talent. I join and like a cock, in the Dead Sea, I float up in no time. I don't plan it. I don't intend it. I don't strategize it, but it happens. And this is what happened. It's right in front of you. In Jan 2020 was the first meetup Delhi chapter. Some of Chandra is here from my Delhi chapter. In Feb, I was MC and not of a regular talk, breakout room MC, March events curator, then August 2020, Delhi chapter president, and April, I was bank President PSAI. I want to share with you what I think went into all of this. Let's begin. I hope everybody's with me. I'm quickly looking at your faces, all of you, and making sure that you are spellbound. Cataline, I'd love to see you. Rajesh, I'd love to see you. Radhika, you too. Okay, so what's the trick? The trick, Monique, is, believe it or not, this is my model. Be your English teacher's pet. Be your English teacher's pet. Now, in India, an English teacher has a very special status in schools. She is the one who organizes all the events. And if you're going to be an appointment in the school, a head girl or a head boy or the president student council, you better be in the English teacher's good books. And my English teacher was Miss Flower. That's what she looked like in 1978. She absolutely loved me. But she would send me out of the classroom and read my essay to the rest of the class, calling it an exemplary piece of writing. And that was Miss Flower. She didn't want me to get a big fat head. She didn't want me hearing too much of praise. That was the generation back then. So my contention is that if you want to be influential today, please be your English teacher's pet. And let me explain how and why. Sanam, thank you very much. Yes. Okay. See, why this holds true today is because I believe influence is made up of these 5 ins. I picked ins deliberately, 20% each. Initiate, take initiative, that is influence. Intrepid, fearless, whether you're giving, whether you're doing, whether you're taking on something, absolutely fearless, no time for fear. Interest, multiple interests, keep learning new things. Then involved, step up, jump into it, get into the trenches. Don't be a bystander. You're never going to assert influence if you do that. And finally, my dear friends, integrity. Integrity is the attribute that will get you influence. Remember, we are living in a transparent world. There is no place to hide every blemish, every wart, every wrinkle is visible. Therefore, these are the, let's take them one at a time. Now, integrity. Indians, I deliberately brought some of my culture to introduce to all of you. We are Bollywood crazy. And this man is the Badshah. He's the king of Bollywood. His name is Shah Rukh Khan. I have such a crush on him, always had a crush on him, still have a crush on him. Now, Shah Rukh Khan's son recently got caught in a drug, well, you will have to call it scandal. And it was all over the papers. I think the entire world connected with Bollywood and fans of Bollywood, they were agog. How could this happen to Shah Rukh Khan? This is a brilliant man. He has such a fan following. People worship him. But believe it or not, there was sympathy for him. There was empathy for him. There was support for him. Nobody turned on him and attacked him for being a bad parent. Yes, there were murmurs, but nobody got after him. They were all hoping for things to turn out to his advantage, to the advantage of the family. And why is that? Because this man is viewed as somebody with integrity. He's compassionate. He goes out of his way to meet people, connect with people. He's not arrogant. He does not misutilize, shall we say, his stardom. He's not done anything wrong, anything that can be construed as corrupt. So integrity is extremely, extremely important. And what I mean by integrity is there are definitions and definitions, but my integrity would be, what am I inside? Am I the same outside? Or is there a disconnect? Am I thinking something, saying something else? When that happens, then there is a lack of integrity there. That's my definition of integrity. I hope you're all with me. I want to take a quick look at everybody. Yes, Chandar is spellbound, Sanam is spellbound. Okay, right. So next quality, next attribute of influence is initiate, my friends. Initiate. Start something. Don't just sit and wait for things to happen. Start. Now, this was an event that we conducted at the PSAI, the Professional Speakers Association of India. And we had the Presidential Leadership Team, PLT, of the Global Speakers Federation to come and tell us about themselves firsthand from the horse's mouth. It had not been done before. Perhaps it had been done in other associations, not in our associations. That was an initiative. This is just an example. There are umpteen numbers of initiatives that I've been involved with ever since I started taking these roles. But this is very important. If you want to exert influence, you better initiate. Start something new. Come up with an idea. Follow through. See to its end. Conclude. That is hugely influential. Next quality. What did I say so far? Integrity and initiative. The third in of influence is intrepid. Do what others will not. Not everybody will get on a horse and gallop with 42 horses and go riding across on the Ooty hunt. I did? Yes, I know. This is not about me. It's about you. But this is my story that I'm trying to share with you, right? How else do I get this across to you? Not many people will pick up their cycle at the age of 54 and start cycling a distance of 278 kilometers. I did, right? Not many people will start at the age of 55 to learn a game like, let's say, golf. I didn't start at 56. I started a little earlier. But my point is, do what others will not. You know, we have built ourselves, constructed ourselves this culture where we calculate too much. We overthink. And we've gotten into this habit of saying no, very transactional. If this is not going to benefit me, I'm not going to take it up. I am an advocate of the contrary way of looking at things. Jump into things. Do things that others are not doing. And by now, my default setting has become, I go to a new place and look around. Okay, what is it that nobody wants to do? Let me take that on. That is what will force me to grow. And it gives me a perverse pleasure to do something that other people are saying, you can't do this. Well, I will do this and show you. It's just become one of those things. So for influence, please be intrepid, not necessarily my way, but don't overthink, don't calculate too much, jump into things, go beyond your fear. That's one way to assert influence. Interest, my friends, interest. There I am. I was talking about riding, I was talking about cycling, I was talking about golfing, piano, and swimming. Everywhere I go, and I would highly recommend this. Anja, Anupriya, you're here, Brigadier Basin, all of you, many of you must be doing this already, but this is my very strong, heartfelt, with absolute conviction, I'm telling you, if you take on new interests, not only will you grow, you will form connections. It is like opening up another skylight to the expanse of the sky above. One activity, tuck, one skylight. Another activity, tuck, another skylight. And that is also taking you towards influence. You meet more people. You become a better person because you're starting from scratch. All your assumptions about yourself, all your ego, all your sense of certainty, which is a disqualification today. It's a big disqualification to be addicted to certainty today. You want people who are willing to reconsider, to look closer, to give others the benefit of doubt. Certainty doesn't get you influence today. That's not the kind of world we are living in anymore. Remember, we started by saying we are temperamental, we are terrified. So every new interest, and I tell you, people will say, what all are you going to do in a lifetime? There's no way you're going to master piano in this lifetime. Well, why do you need to master this? Why do you need to master everything? I don't need to. I don't look upon it like that. And I've not mastered all of these interests, but I've become proficient enough to get a big high, a boost of energy, a lot of intellectual stimulation, physical health, and a lot of great, great company and some fantastic people I've met while on horseback, while on the golf course, while in the pool. And this is my fifth one, I think. Involved, my dear friends. Get involved, join in. Don't sit on the bank with your feet in the water, trailing with the tips of your toes. Jump into the water. That is the one sure way of exerting influence. Would you agree with me? This clause about being involved? Yes? Okay. Thank you very much, Anja and Sanam. Thank you. Anupriya, I don't see you. Yes. You. Chandra has got a permanent thumbs up. Okay. So these are the attributes I consider very, very important in exercising influence. Every time the chat would, all right. Now, let's translate all these 5 things we talked about, the 5 ins of influence. To translate, be your English teacher's pet. And how do you do that? You start something, you be good, be decent, be classy, keep your word, come on time, look after your exterior, be brushed. All these very basics, these are important. Fear, don't fear. I've written fear not, don't fear anything. Push your faculties, expand and expend yourself. Use yourself up. What are we saving ourselves for? What are you saving yourself for, innocently? If you're saving yourself for, right? Let's spend, yes, absolutely. Spend our energy, spend our time, expend it doing useful, productive work. Now, I'm going to take a break for 30 seconds and I'm timing all of you. We're going to be silent for 30 seconds. And I'd like each one of you to shut your eyes and think, whose pet would you be? I'm Miss Flower's pet. I'm my English teacher's pet. And that's how I'm influential. Whose pet would you be? 30 seconds starts now. Time up. Monique, whose pet would you be?
To be very honest, I couldn't come up with someone. I need to think about it longer. There were a couple of people in my mind, but I said not that because. So I need to keep going with that exercise.
Fair enough, fair enough. Who would like to? Innocente, would you like to share?
I'm at the same point as Monique. I can't really think of someone, but I think it's maybe because I have questions around, I quite understand where you're coming from, that this person sees in you what's best. But it's kind of like, you know, I'm not entirely sure how I would define, you know, as it wouldn't be a teacher. How else would I define that person whose pet I should be? If that makes any sense. It's kind of like I wasn't anyone's pet at school, so I'm not quite sure how to transition that thought into adult life.
All right, Innocent, that's great. You help me to explain it to the rest of us also. I absolutely appreciate this. When I say whose pet would you like to be, there are some people we want to make very proud of us. There's some people we want to think well of us. There's some people we don't want to disappoint ever. There are some people whose values are so deeply ingrained in us, we're not even conscious of those values. And when I say, whose pet would you like to be? That's what I mean. Who in your life is that person whose approval is important to you? Who would you not ever want to disappoint? Yes.
So my mother's father, so my grandfather, but he passed away when I was 11, but he's still, his values still ring true.
Absolutely, Nusita. Now you have the question. My dad, and very often it's parents, Radhika, Monique, myself, you'd like to be your own pet. Lovely. Self-care, self-love. Manju, you're one for whom even I could be a pet. All right. Fair enough. Thank you very much. And a couple of seconds myself. That's great. Yes. Yes, please. Go ahead.
I think the word got stolen, but that is grandfather. I certainly was and am a pet of my grandfather. And even now, I live all the values he taught me.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I meant. These values are what make you who you are. And the attributes that we spoke about, those come together in the form of influence as you move through life. And those values are transparent. People can see them. We think they can't, but people can see. People look through you. All right. Now, quickly, when we're talking about influence, there is other kind of influence today. We have to talk about the environment today. For example, CEO Insights, you can buy a feature on yourself. The most admired global Indians, you can pay to be featured as an influential person. But I do believe that the real lasting, enduring influence is made up of all the attributes, those 5 Ns that we discussed. Then it also happens that there is this Insta influence, which is a cult influence. We don't know, it's become a monster almost. We don't know where it is going. As long as it is fancy and has a foundation, it's good, it's great. But we've heard all kinds of stories about followers being bought, being sold. And the strangest part is this new functioning on Instagram, this new phenomena where they might tell Sanam, you write a beautiful blog. I'd like to feature you as a new age teacher, but for that you will have to pay me 750 rupees, let's say, paying you to feature your work. And it's a market that is expanding because there are 2 people who are seeing some mutual benefit in that. And that's a question to ask yourself, where are we going? What is the basic premises under all of this? So I believe that cult influence is to be questioned and not bought into completely without doing your homework. And online influence. This was Monique and I. Monique did a podcast for me, and that was really wonderful. Thank you, Monique. And online influence, I would say, would be log in on time, be well-groomed, no spinach food in the teeth, and all of that. So this is self-explanatory. And many a times I've had my beagle snoring right under the table. Today, I've got my beagle outside the room and I've lashed it. So you take a call about your beagles and the rest of the noise makers in your room. We owe ourselves our circles of influence. Yes. Anupriya, I'll answer that later. I'm not looking at the comments, but I quickly read your comment and you make a good point. Listen, friends, we really owe ourselves our circles of influence. And why we owe ourselves our circles of influence is because unless we cultivate a robust, wholesome, and a circle of influence made up of integrity, of the quality of initiating, of all the qualities we discussed, of all those values, we will not leave behind a better world for our next generations. And that onus is on us. My talk is not just about this particular event. And we are not here just talking about influence in only one particular perspective. We are talking about a much a vision that has the greater foresight. You're talking about leaving behind a better world. Make this a better world and leave behind a world that is even better. So we owe each other our circles of influence, and circles of influences will get created when we practice all those attributes. I believe that's my model we just discussed. Now, let me quickly share with you my signature influence. What do I do? My signature influence is I connect, I get things done, ask questions, and don't sit back and wait. Now, this is not something I've written for myself. This is somebody else talking about me. So would you take a second, 15, 20 seconds, and try and think of what your signature influence might read like? Your time starts now. Anja, I'd love an answer from you. That'll be lovely. Monique, please go ahead.
Okay, while I failed to answer your last question, I can answer this one. So people say about me is she's the embodiment of love and at the same time laser sharp in business. So that's, you know, that's a power combination. I also, you know, yeah, people say about me, like I see greatness in them when they don't see it yet. You know, things like that. So, you know, I mean, I inspire, people see me as a speaker. There's so many things, right? So, but you know, I love to see from each and every one of you that's here with us today, like put it into the chat. We want to know what's yours. So we get to know each other in a greater way too. Okay, Neerja, I think you also wanted to ask some others, right?
Yes, Sanam has just written.
Right.
Sanam, why don't you go ahead? Yes, why don't you go ahead and say it yourself, Sanam?
Sure. So I wrote that my positivity radiates to all. I am there to help, support, and nurture. I encourage myself and others to be change makers and courageous dreamers. I really believe this, and I hope that, as you said, that if the influence is right, others could see that.
Absolutely lovely. Anja, would you please say it yourself? Thank you so much.
So it's Anya.
Anya, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yes.
I encourage, I empower, I ask questions. People say that I radiate positivity and I listen deeply.
Lovely. Lovely. Listening is such a much needed, sorely needed skill today. Everybody's talking. We're all talking. Not many are listening. All right, last couple of seconds. Anyone? Chandar?
I'll go.
Chimbu, go ahead. Chimbu, go. Okay, Chimbu, go ahead.
My influence is to grow and build people and help discover their strengths and self-confidence.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And those were your signature influences. And one thing exercise we could all do is later after this session, maybe there's always scope for improvement, right? There are influences and influences. A lot of people, what they do is they look back on their lives, think of the major events, join the dots, and then you actually come up with what is it that you completely vibrate with. It's there with you, each one of us. It's a different element, different component, but that is an exercise worth doing. And I will continue on my signature influence because I think it's important, gives you also reason to think of your own influences. I don't strategize influence. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people in marketing do. I don't write coattails. I don't go after celebrities to get their autographs. I don't care for credit. It comes. I do believe that if you are doing great work, the kind of influence we are talking about, all of us, and the kind of influences you have just shared, if you're doing that kind of work and those are your signature influences, there is no way credit will not come to you. And I have a habit of saying yes a lot. I say yes quite quickly, sometimes not thinking it through also. And I get high on the ability of others. I love watching somebody who's really accomplished. There's so many of you here. I just get high on that. That gives me a high. And I also tend to consult a lot. These are some of the things you do. I do. You could also, and one sure shot, this is something I want to recommend to each of you. And this is also something that I was told. I was not doing it consciously. I use names a lot. For instance, if I'm writing an email to Anupriya, I will say, dear Anupriya, and 2-3 times in that email, I will use her name again. If I'm writing a WhatsApp message to her, my message will also have the name Elena, for instance, a couple of times. And they say that nothing sweeter than the sound of your own name, but it's not conscious. It just happens. And somebody told me, do you do this deliberately? It's a very, very intimate habit. Try it. Try it. A lot of us don't use each other's names enough. I guarantee you there'll be a greater connection. Now, pyramid of influence, we started with the Maslow's pyramid, and I thought it appropriate to put together my pyramid. There is, yes, thank you, Manju. So for me, it is having an original worldview. There's so many forces out there. They're telling us a lot of things. And there are these scripts that we are buying into. I think we need to give that a greater thought, question them, and have our own original worldview, relentless action, constant civility, P's and Q's, fearless giving, and forgiving. I don't think we can anymore hold people to these notions of right and wrong. There's a lot of boundaries that are blurring today. There's a lot of permission to be yourselves. Now, this is my recommendation to all of you. Try these for high impact. Write nice LinkedIn recommendations. Not enough of us do enough of this. Attend each other's events. Avoid ghosting or canceling. This is such a heartbreaking phenomena that has started today. People vanish. They just vanish, and not just in relationships, even business connections sometimes. They're in touch with you today, and tomorrow they're gone. Where are they gone? Always revert or update. And even if it's taken you time, get back to that person, say, and if you missed it for some reason, apologize. Review books for colleagues and friends, review their websites, and respond promptly. To me, this is very important. Respond quickly. People are time-strapped, cash-strapped also, but time-strapped largely. Get back to people and respond. That shows a lot of respect. Now, I am recommending to all of you a 30-day influence investment challenge. I love 30-day challenges. My influence investment challenge is invest your influence. How would you invest your influence? Think about it. Now, when there's a mic on, may I request you to switch it off? Thank you. Okay. Now, when Monique shared that invite to this session today, she wrote a sentence there. If you know of somebody who has what was the word she used? Somebody with a greater contribution, or somebody who is maybe doing something which impacts other people. I don't remember her exact words, but she said, bring that person along. That is an investment of influence. And that is what I'm recommending to you. Now, Chinmu, for instance, how would you invest? Let's say we have Anupriya on this call, and you tell everybody, Anupriya, she founded this magazine for the PSAI. She does this journal and does a beautiful job of it. Pro Speak. It's the first ever time that PSAI launched a magazine, and we are soon going to be celebrating its anniversary issue. What have you done? You have used your influence.
Yeah.
Right?
So I have already influenced today. I put a screenshot of this event in our 2 groups. And I think because of that, a few of us have joined. So I already started.
Great. Fantastic. So become an influence investor. That's how you grow in your influence. So what you do is make a gift of your influence to other people. In giving influence to others, you are adding to your own influence. You become more influential. So influence is a currency that you can invest and get returns on. So do this challenge. Tell yourself 30 days, and every day gift your influence to one person. Maybe share their event like you did, Chimu, just now, or write a review, praise them, recommend them, use your circle to help them reach out with their ideas and their content. And please be careful about these scripts. It's all about you. It's not all about you necessarily. People don't care about your stories. We do that. We do say that. But every time, remember the context. Don't buy into them blindly. Stop and think, because you will not be exerting influence if you do not critically analyze some of these scripts. Give them what they want. If I have a fever and I go to the doctor and the doctor tells me, Neerja, what medicine shall I give you? Well, he's the expert. I expect him to know. I know in a lot of cultures, patients have a lot of rights. Even in India now, there are certain legal acts that have come in where the patient needs to give their agreement. They have to agree to that line of treatment. However, you know the limits, the boundaries I'm talking about, and we have the right to have our needs met. I believe those needs are to be, yes, earned. Now, the next 3-4 slides are about the challenges you will come across when trying to assert your influence. Ego. Ego will keep you from influencing others. You keep giving people opinions, but remember, for everybody, when I want your opinion, I will give it to you. I don't need your opinion. That's how it is with most of us. We don't like listening to opinions. Another challenge in asserting influence, another thing, sensitivity in influence is the gender perspective and new age feminism. We don't talk about it enough, but it's important to remember that what we started out was by saying that the two genders are equal. But somewhere along the way, the entire dynamics became very adversarial. We became adversaries. And there's a kind of a gender war going on in some form or the other. That gender perspective is important to keep in mind because it is very fundamental to human existence, to human societies, to human work, to human dynamics. It can affect everything. It is affecting everything. Plus, there is a gender fluidity today. A lot of let's say, identities that we are expressing. But the gender perspective is something that can challenge your influence. And a note of warning: when you start asserting influence, you are going to attract envy. Not everybody likes influential people. There may be people looking at Monique, for instance, and saying, what is it that she's doing, and how is it that she is able to put together programs like this? Sanam, you're a new age educator. There may be teachers who may not be in agreement with you. It's human nature, not because we are bad people or evil people, but there is envy, and I learned the hard way. So be careful and be nice to people when you're doing a lot of things. That's how you assert influence. That's my mom. I was trying to show her how Zoom works, and she didn't know I was putting all these virtual yes on her. Now, influence. There are bullies and bullies, call them bullhorn bullies, on the social media all around. But there is one thing you cannot argue with, and that is success. So when you have initiated projects, when you are leading beautifully, when your business is a success and it's a bandwagon, then everybody jumps, happy to jump on. So stack up your conversions, concretizations, and closings, and you will be influential. And now about the future. I do believe, and I would ask you this question: do you think we are advancing towards a future where influence may not be required? We may evolve so much. There may be so much of self-awareness, self-sufficiency, the ability to take charge and assume responsibility for our own happiness, that we may not need this whole idea of influence. It's just a thought. I don't know the answer to that. but I'd like to, it's just a thought that I want to leave you with because it is something that I've thought about a whole lot. And
personally, if you're asking us that question, I'm Manju.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not in
yes, Manju, please.
On video. Personally, I feel that, influence is now more important than money. As in, as the days go by, earlier probably power, right? You have political power or maybe the power of money, etc. That might have worked for you. But now it's all about the influence, the power of influence, how much influence you have over others. As in, suppose you want everyone to buy into an idea, right? You need to say maybe work out at least for 30 minutes a day, etc. So I think the future world leaders will be determined by the quantum of influence that you can exert on the world rather than on your money power or other kind of powers.
Thank you, Manju. Thank you, Manju, for your views. And influential is not what you do, but what you be. It becomes intuitive. It becomes like breathing. You don't have to work at it. You just be all those attributes we talked about. And yes, that's what it is. So there's my my LinkedIn QR and my Calendly. That's just to share with you. I'm available, happy to chat up. And final words on influencing is do your English teacher proud. Be an influence investor. These are the two main takeaways that I want to leave you with. You know all about creating products, publishing books. You know about your public profile, about being visible on social media. There's enough talk about that all there. But ultimately, at the bottom of everything, the core is do someone you love proud and invest. Be an influence investor. Thank you very much for your time. And I'm here to engage with you. Over to you, Monique. I hope I finished.
Thank you, Neerja. I loved everything you shared. I mean, so many golden nuggets and food for thought. And, it's been amazing. As we invited you to share your questions here in the chat, I saw actually a question. Give me a second now. I need to find it again. Okay, so there was a question from...
I have a question.
Yes, but wait, there was a question actually posted earlier from Sonsoles. And the question was, what figure in today's life is the equivalent to the English teacher? So I don't know if you can answer that, Neerja or Sonsoles. Would you like to share what your question really is or was at the time?
You know, the thing, Monique, is yes, I anticipated this and I wanted to say that equivalent of an English teacher, let me try and answer that question. See, in our culture, I was, when I was growing up and studying, I went to a convent, and those days convent education used to be a big thing. And in the convents, the English teacher in particular wielded a lot of influence. So English teacher is somebody who everybody looked up to because English is a very aspirational language in our country, perhaps not applicable so much to Germany or to some of the other nations. But an equivalent would be someone whose approval a lot of people around seek. It could be maybe your school principal or your college professor or somebody you're emotionally also attached to. Not your boss necessarily, because with a boss, the relationship will be different, but somebody who there is a bond with and who's, like I said, if you did something stupid, you'd kick yourself. My God, I don't want that person to know about this. That's the kind of relationship. That's the kind of, I am going to mispronounce your name. Sorry, Sonsoles. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. I mean, it's becoming more and more clear, but is this about our own behavior because it works as a guiding principle in our own lives, or is this about this other person doing something for us, advancing us in one way or another?
Right. Now, what happens is that when you have all these qualities in you, this is the kind of person you're going to attract reciprocity. I would like to be around a person who has integrity. I would love to work with someone who takes initiative. I would love to be with somebody who's unafraid. These are the qualities. This is what makes you a magnet. And this is how you exert influence. That is my basic contention in this presentation. I hope that's helping. And other people are not going to do things for you. It's a give and take, right? It's all a connection. Nobody works in isolation. No, they say no man is free who has 1,000 ancestors. We all have ancestors. We didn't drop from the sky. We may not be aware of them, but we have ancestors. It goes back a long way. So my contention is that if you want to exert influence, I'm not talking about the calculating strategy. Okay, he's the person I need. He's influential. I need to approach that. Of course, that is pretty common sense, right? We know that. We know that. We know all about the other mechanics of building your expert authority by publishing books, for instance, or creating a beautiful website. You would have heard that before. You're all in some manner related to speaking or some other profession. But at the bottom of all that, at the bottom of even a cult Insta influencer or a world leader, at the bottom is goodness. At the bottom is decency, that kind of classiness, which would make your Miss Flower proud, in my case. In your case, it would be somebody else. Somebody else whose opinion you value. There are people in our lives, you know, we look up to, and we say that this is the person who made me. This is the person who inspired me. This is the person who taught me. This is the person who twisted my ears and made sure that I stayed on track. So you circle around you. Yes, that's what I mean.
I do believe that is quite culturally intuitive, you know, no, that's not the right word, where that goes against what the culture globally is, which is about measures things in terms of materialistic assets and aspirations. You know, there's this big thing, I don't know about in India, but in England, there's this big thing that we have been saying for many years in education is, if you have to, you know, to choose to be on the top or to be kind, choose kindness. And we have this, and I know with my grandchildren, they are two very kind young girls, because that is what is being, you know, make a choice, be kind.
I believe we don't actually need to make a choice. We can,
no, good manners cost nothing.
Yeah, and I believe we don't even need to make a choice. We can be kind and influential.
And I think so.
But I think that leads into a philosophical conversation right now. So any other questions? Maybe we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Yes. I just want to make sure that everyone you have here now, Neerja, the teenager, and I think we're all senior teenagers in some way, right? So yes. What questions do you have? Because now it's your opportunity to ask her.
Yeah, I had a question.
Go ahead.
So Neerja, when we talk of influence, the first thing that people think of is your social media presence, and are you here, there, everywhere? How do we manage that? If we are not a person who is like naturally active on social media, do we need to push that part of it out consciously to show that the outer world that we are influential? Because nobody is going to do it for us, right?
Chimu, I'm not for a minute.
How do we,
yes,
build that circle of influence?
Sure. So Chimu, I'm not for a moment discounting all those. Those are the tools of the times. We are not playing with stuffed dolls anymore. We are not playing with, let's say, wooden toys anymore, right? So these are the tools of the time. These tools will have to be used. We'll have to learn how to use these tools. All I'm saying is, with those tools, whether you hire an intern, whether you pay somebody to do it for you, whether you stay up at night sweating it out, and whether you are a one-woman army, whatever you choose to do, what I'm saying is that your social media presence is going to be influential only if, at the bottom of all that, your foundation is strong. If your foundation is ethical, if your foundation reeks of integrity, if you are taking initiative, believe you me, Chimu, we are transparent today. Everything is visible. Integrity, you can tell in minutes. People share WhatsApp chats. You might say, send a chat to somebody thinking it's a one-to-one, but it gets shared. So everything is transparent. We are living in a very transparent world. If you're not a good human being, if you're not a good person, your influence is not going to endure. Maybe for a short while, there might be a burst, but not long-term. I do believe long-term influence will come if you are your teacher's pet, if you're a good person, essentially. And all those 5 ins that I shared with you. And you invest your influence. That's very important. Yes, Monique.
I guess we have to be intrepid and jump into social media.
You have to.
Because
those are the tools, right? That's the platform. You have to be visible.
Yeah, it just really amplifies things, and it's what Neerja is saying. It's like you need to have a solid foundation, but you also need to have a powerful message, a clear and clean message that resonates with others. You need to have passion, okay, for what you're burning for, right? I mean, there's so many things we need, but we just start with one thing, Chimo. Even if you're scared, just see, okay, just choose what platform do you resonate with, where you find the people you want to be listened to, you want to connect with. Just set up a profile, and you don't need to do much there. Just look around, who's playing that playground, and engage in these conversations, right? Just one tiny step will move you forward. So, okay, great. I think we're coming to the end of our amazing session. So I hope you all enjoyed being with us today. And first of all, my wholehearted thank you, Neerja, for being with us today. Okay, I know you're very busy and still taking the time to be with us, to inspire and ignite all of us. And I think, let me ask you, who took away some golden nuggets? I'm sure you did, and I could already see it in the chat, like many insights, many things to think about. So thank you all for being here, for taking the time, for wanting to step up, for being committed to step up. Yes. For wanting to be influential, for taking responsibility for your mission. We are celebrating you, right, Neerja? We are celebrating every single one that was with us today. So thank you, Chimu and Anya and Manju and Mona, Luisa, and everyone else that was with us today. You rock, you're amazing. Just take some of these golden nuggets you picked up today and keep going with it, okay? And as we say, always speak up, don't hold back, okay? Share what you do. Let people know about it, right? And, scale up, do it in a bigger way. Just find one thing every day. You can go bigger and get more people to see you. Absolutely. And make your impact, right? And as you know, we are running actually programs. We're just launching today an 8-week professional speakers launch program. So if you want to talk about how do you bring your message and how do you bring your business to and your impact to the next level, let's have a conversation. And Neerja, if you want to talk to Neerja, right, she's very open. She's very happy to have a coffee chat with you. So get in touch with her, get in touch with me. And definitely don't miss out. I shared the link several times, our Heart Power Global Nation. We would love to have you. It's your platform to let more people know about the amazing things you do. And again, thank you, Neerja, for being with us. Do you want to close it off with one final inspirational message before we
my final message is a prayer for all of us. May our circles of influence grow. Thank you very much.
And I think if you bring our circles of influence together, they will grow, right?
Absolutely.
If you bring them all together, they will grow, right?
Yes.
So thank you for being with us. All of you.
Thank you, Monique.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.